So hello everyone, my name is Bo from Chain IDE and I'll be the moderator today. First, I want to thank you for staying with us on the 2022 Meta Web3 Builder Competition. A few housekeeping rules before we get started today. The first is if you have a question, please type in the QA chat box in the YouTube Live, and we will select 1 or 2 questions if we have extra time between each session. The second is please no spamming. If you're spam, it will be marked and moved from the event immediately. Okay, so last week we had some really impressive lectures about metaverse, social-fi, DeFi, DAO, blockchain security, etc. We also had programming session about Dapps and contracts development using Chain IDE. Those are really helpful and informative. And for this week, we are going to have topics related to Web3 ecosystem and Web3 investment. We'll start with a panel about Web3 developers ecosystem in Africa from Sam Lai and his friends from Africa. So Sam, you may start whenever you're ready.
Okay, hi, thank you. Thank you, Paul. So I think, my name is Sam Lai. I'm actually the CEO of Meta Incubator. So we are kind of a metaverse incubator actually based in Dubai. So we work with a lot of kind of startup from pretty much from the region, from Turkey, from Middle East, of course, and also from Africa. So today is actually I have an honor to have 3 friends from Africa to talk about the ecosystem there. So first we have just a minute. So yes, we have Sam Akinono from Divinity. I think you can turn off your camera and actually say hi to everybody.
Okay, hello everyone.
Yeah.
Samuel
And then,
from Divinity.
Yes, and then we also have Kelvin. Yes, from Victory Finance, and also Samuel Iki from Bridge Network.
Hello everyone, nice meeting you all.
Yes. Yeah, is Kelvin's okay? Is Kelvin? Yeah, Kelvin, we see you. So yes.
Hey guys, good day everyone.
But I think at the beginning of the talk, so actually Samuel is actually good enough to maybe have a short presentation and to warm up the floor first. Samuel, you go ahead.
Yeah, I would just share my screen now. Just give me a moment. Yeah, is this live? Okay, yeah. Good everyone. My name is Samuel Akinsho, and I'm going to be basically representing Divinity. So basically, our main focus is the internet computer blockchain, and it's our main product at Divinity, which is the parent company I work with, and our mission or our main focus is to build an hardcore, chain cryptography technology that enables, the computer to support through Web3 targeting. And when we say this, our major goal is to build a blockchain singularity. And so what do we mean by a blockchain singularity? It's just simply defined as where majority of services and online systems and products and even humans run entirely on the world computer blockchain. So to give more insight into it, the internet computer blockchain is not relatively a new blockchain. We basically run over 5,500 transactions per second, which sums up, having over 500 million transactions daily on the blockchain. And we have also processed over 1.2 billion blocks so far. And so to give you insights on the technical aspects of the internet computer blockchain LE2, can you still see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay, great. So basically, the internet computer is specially created from node machines, and these are, they are run by independent data centers. And I'm finding it hard to see my screen. Okay, yeah, great. So yeah, it's run totally by independent data centers, and you can basically, even host the internet computer blockchain on if you have, a data center and if you have such facility. So hold on a second. having issues seeing my screen, so it's hard presenting. I am still having issues seeing my screen. Just give me a moment. It should pop up now. Okay, yeah, great. Back up. Apologies for the issues. So yeah, the internet computer is powered by node machines, which you can see, and they are publicly owned special hardware by independent people. And we also have the internet computer protocol, which is built on the node machines. The internet computer protocol is basically where the name is basically coined from, which is our major coin, which is the internet computer coin. And that's basically what we use in communicating or interacting on the blockchain. And yeah, we also have the internet computer built on the internet computer protocol, and this is our general purpose blockchain, just like you have Ethereum and every other layer 1 chains. And on the internet computer, we have the canister smart contracts. And to simplify this, they're basically just hosted blockchain codes or regular smart contracts, but this time rather than using containers which you use in cloud architectures, we are using canisters basically to hold smart contracts together. So yeah, since it's going to be a brief presentation, I won't go so deep into the technical aspects. I would just give you insight as to why you should build on the internet computer and our positive effects in the African market. So yeah, one of the core features of the internet computer blockchain is the fact that we can process HTTP transactions. So we are one of the only, I think literally the only blockchain that can, you can basically process HTTP transactions. So which means that this simply means that, Web3 services, Dapps, they can be built directly from smart contract, and they can, interact directly with the web. So we don't need to host your smart contract on third-party apps. You can basically launch directly. So yeah, the next one is also our core technology, which is 10 key transactions, and this means that we can do interoperability with other chains without having to build bridges. So we have pure cryptographies. You don't need bridges to interact with Ethereum or Bitcoin. If you're building on the internet computer. And yeah, so also one very important thing is, a lot of people, talk about building on this on the blockchain and how expensive it can be, compared to building on centralized services. So, if you want to host just 1 gig of data right now on Ethereum, to cost you almost $79,000, $1 million just to host 1 gig, because you're basically going to have to be taking the whole project. If you want to host on Solana, it costs you over 3,000 Sol, but on the internet computer, you're just going to spend $5, and it's going to be paid in cycles, just like you pay based on usage on AWS or any other cloud architecture. So yeah, and so as of date, we have thousands of developers building on the internet computer. We have Dapps, from GameFi to NFTs to SocialFi to anything, name it. The goal is to be a world computer blockchain, which means everything and anything can be built on it. Solely fully built on chain. And yeah, we are an authentic early crypto project. Divinity basically runs the largest team of cryptographers in tech. We founded basically in 2016 to continue a research, which was the World Computer Research by 2015. We're also the largest employer of Google research staffs. Yeah, and we have research centers headquartered in both Zurich, that's Switzerland, and San Francisco. Very, very important keynotes to take is to know that we are a fully technical team, which means we are not just coin focused, but we are research focused. We are basically one of the largest R&D blockchain research companies in the world. We are 280 people strong, and so far we basically have published over 1,600 research papers. We have been cited over 100,000 times, and we have about 250 patents of core technologies being built at Divinity. So yeah, basically due to the fact that this is more talking about the African ecosystem, We are supporting builders globally, including the Middle East, Africa, everywhere else in the world. And we have over $200 million in grants. So if you want to build on the internet computer, we have core focuses also, from dev tools to, building dApps to, doing core technical architectures or technical infrastructures or aiding, the growth of our blockchain. You could get grants, developer grants, and this grant ranges from $25,000 to $50,000, $200,000, and above. We also have community grants, so which means if you're basically doing anything or talking to people, organizing events, organizing meetups for the internet computer, we could give you grants to be able to do all of these things flawlessly. So, and lastly, if you want to learn more, you can visit theinternetcomputer.org. That's our blockchain, and yeah, you can learn more about other very interesting technologies that we have built so far. And yeah, that's literally the end of my talk. And you can also connect with me at Lucid Samuel if you have any questions. Literally on Twitter or Samuel Akinsho on LinkedIn if you have any questions building or generally about the internet computer blockchain.
Thank you, Samuel. Thank you. So let's actually welcome Kelvin and the other Sam. Sam, I give back to the panel first. It's actually amazing, so many good projects are presenting. Yes, I think you can open your camera, then it will be great,
Oh, I thought you were going for someone. Or
No. Yeah. So also great, Kelvin. Thank you for joining our panel. Maybe start with you. Maybe you introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your project.
okay, sure. Well, I'm Kelvin, and even though you cannot get a reference that I'm still with Big3 Finance, I've kind of parted ways for them. I was part of the early, guys who got in, helped them raise some funds. But I'm no more working with Big3 Finance, but I'm with DAO Maker as the KO manager. I don't know if you know DAO Maker, the launchpad.
Yes.
I'm the KO manager for DAO Maker, and also I have other affiliated things that I'm doing, working with a PR marketing company as well. So my field is kind of skewed towards the marketing and growth side. Just to give you, let's say, an overview of what I do as well is, I get pictures from projects like pitch decks, then I pitch it out to my KLs, my influencers. I have a KL network which is very wide. I have people in the English session, Turkish, Indian, Polish region. And these are the top localities, or let me say, for crypto. And also Asia as well. I'm currently working with one of the biggest guys in Asia. I don't know if you know him, Sam. You know Maniguru?
Yeah.
Cool.
Then how about Sam from Bridge Network? Old buddy, introduce yourself.
Hello, nice to meet everyone. So I'm Sam from Bridge Network. I'm the CTO of Bridge Network and a co-founder. So basically at Bridge Network, what we do is that we build chain agnostic solutions that enables users actually move assets cross-chain. So basically what it simply means in a layman term is you moving your Ethereum from Ethereum blockchain to probably Binance, or moving USDT from Binance to Ethereum or Polygon to do some other DeFi things basically. So apart from that, we also currently are coming up with the NFT bridge to enable NFT users also be chain agnostic to basically your NFT should not just be domiciled in one chain. You can actually move these NFTs across chain to actually do some low gas fee transactions and activities basically. Also, when you talk about Africa, Asia, and the Middle East, basically in general, we also have a new solution we are coming up with, which is the Bridge Pay card. So with this card solution, basically, you can basically convert your crypto directly to your card and spend it anywhere in the world. Basically, what we are doing here is trying to bridge Web 2 and Web 3. So basically, with your Web 3 funds, you can basically spend it in the Web 2 way. So that is basically an overview of what we do at Bridge Network.
Mhm.
We are basically, we started at Barbados. We are incorporated at Barbados, but we're currently moving down to Dubai to incorporate back here again. So we are kind of a global team made up of a lot of people across the world, ranging from India, Africa, yeah,
Mhm.
UK also. We have a lot of
Yeah.
people at the UK. Yeah, so basically that's an overview about Bridge Network. Yeah, thank you.
Great. So I have a question, because now a lot of the audience, like aspiring, like programmer, like Web3 project leader, want to get into the field. So maybe can you guys share a little bit, like how do you start programming? Why you get into Web3? You know, so real quick. Maybe Sam from Pitch Network first. You know.
Okay, so I actually started developing a long time ago. I was back then a Web2 developer purely, but in 2016, when I got to know about Bitcoin, I started prognosing about the mysterious thing and tried to learn more about what the technology means. What caught my interest basically was the fact that it's trying to create an ecosystem where users can actually interact peer-to-peer without the need for centralized party like the government. So that was where I actually picked interest, and I started looking into development in the Web3 space. But I fully started my development in Web3 in 2018, where I started working on the Solidity part of the development, and from there I actually picked up some other Web3 development like the Rust and for Solana, basically. Yeah.
How about Samuel from the Divinity? You know.
Okay, so for me too, I was also a Web3 developer, and I pretty much started quite early. Was already doing full stack development or relatively full stack development as at 2015, and yeah. So for the blockchain, I got into the blockchain development space primarily. I think around 2018. I used to be a founder of a service company, and we were building blockchain solutions for organizations, and yeah, so pretty much that.
Yeah. So did Kelvin have any program like background, or you actually just focus on the marketing side?
I'm solely into marketing, nothing related to development.
Okay.
But I have like skills in content writing, social media management, and also growth development for startups, basically.
Yeah, but that's important too, because I think the success of a project actually not just about technology or programming and marketing, actually very important too. So just like what kind of advice you have, when you guys try to set up a team? Because right now it's for hackathon, a lot of actually great project actually from a hackathon, because I'm actually one of the DAO kind of partner we have actually from Singapore, DAO. When they first actually hold the first hackathon in India, the Polygon team actually one of the participants. So actually that was a very good story. And then now, because this will organize the hackathon, so what kind of suggestions you have when people are starting a team? I think that's it. Okay, good. Maybe Sam from Beach Network, you start first.
Okay, so when starting a team, just as you said, the hackathon is actually a very good way to start. Like even the Bridge Network, we actually started with a hackathon. We participated in the Polygon hackathon where we emerged the third position. So that was our starting point basically. But for the team formation, basically, it had to do with somebody coming up with an idea and kind of outsourcing and looking for people who share similar view on that idea and probably brainstorming on it and looking at the best way to actually take it further. Then we use the hackathon to actually get to the industry, and from there we're able to scale and raise funds basically.
How about Sam from Divinity?
Okay, yes. So to shed more light about that, it's basically going to be in two aspects. For the Web3 space, for the traditional space, you basically find like Samuel said, basically find people who align with your goals or align with your idea, and you probably people you have built with before, people that you are going to contribute immensely into the progress of your project, and you just start building with them, and you start employing more people, expanding the team. But in the Web3 scene, it's pretty much like obviously you start with an idea, you find people, friends who like love the idea or feel like it's something that's going to be good. Then you kind of like attend meetups, or you attend hackathons, or you set up totally different means, or join DAOs and all of that, and connect to a larger audience. Primarily because most Web3 projects are like open source, so obviously it's not going to be just you and your founders building. It's going to be like a whole community of people, and so you have to like foster a community around your product. So that way you get to like bring in more builders and bring in more people to like contribute to your project. So yeah.
So that actually just a follow up, right? So if I'm a young kid in Africa, right, I actually, of course, I want to see how do I get started, and where can I get help? I know hackathon is actually one way to go. Do they have other like the kind of venue or road that they can move forward? Maybe some programming school, or actually where maybe just start working with a project or something like that.
Okay, great. So for the Web3 space, there are platforms like Alchemy University. There are platforms like Build Space that will give you like a step-by-step process into like building. And there are regular resources like Udemy and Coda also offers courses on Web3 related stuff, so sites hackathon. So if you want to be more what's the word? If you want to be more cost focused, or if you want to be more schedule or module focused, you take these approaches. But if you want to be more build as you go, you work with platforms like Space or Alchemy University, because you just learn, you build, you learn, you build, you learn, you build, so you kind of like grow. Also, being in communities like the developer DAO and a ton of other communities like that would basically accelerate your growth, because you tend to like have a community of people that you can like talk to, learn from, and yeah, pretty much.
It's cool. The same for Bridge Network. Anything to add? Or?
Yeah, so I think about the community is very important, because looking at Web3, the resources and documentation around Web3 is basically new and not enough, because you find it very difficult to find a lot of resources around the technology. So being in a community where you have people who are more experienced, or people who have been in this industry for a long time, will actually be a very good step for a new beginner who is trying to get into the Web3 space, because you get to actually meet people who are more experienced, you ask questions, and you get a faster breakthrough when you are stuck in a problem, basically.
Cool. So I have a question. So next question is actually I want Kelvin to answer first. Is Kelvin still with us? Yeah. So my question actually I have is, what area of the Web3 you think have a lot of potential, in the next couple of years? I don't know. Yeah. Is Kelvin still with us, or maybe Sam from Divinity, you can answer first.
Okay, yeah. Can you rephrase the question again?
Yeah. So what area of the Web3 you see a lot of potential? Because like last time, I think it's DeFi, and then the one that before is ICO, and then the first kind of the bull market, it just copy blockchain, right? Like like Bitcoin Cash. So what do you think the next big thing is going to be?
Okay, so basically due to the fact that Web3 has taken a deep dive, a very, very deep dive, people are more intentional about where they put their money and what they invest in. So DeFi, decentralization, anything that has to do like full DeFi, that's taking a full DeFi approach will be more appreciated than decentralized approaches. So I don't want to like be technology focused when answering this question. I want to be more community focused and more general public focused. People are not going to embrace centralized exchanges more. People are going to like focus on decentralized exchanges or decentralized Dapps. So if you don't have like proof of reserves, you don't have proof of funds, you don't have your code is not like open source, and your team is basically hiding behind NFT avatars, there's going to be almost no show for your project, or almost not on our project. But yeah, technology wise, or everything is still I recently just had an NFT-Fi, which is like decentralized or finance NFT, and I was like, what is this? So new things are coming up every day, but at the end of the day, putting decentralization first, it shows transparency, which is like the core of blockchain, transparency, security, and all of those things. So without that, I think every tech would just still be, not useful, or basically just another thing. Yeah, the web.
So Sam from Bridge Network. So I actually do think cross bridge like transaction will be very important in the future, because people will not only use one chain, because they may actually go to different chain for different purposes. Also, when you talk about metaverse, the DeFi, different asset class, there will be a lot of crossing transaction. As you are the expert in cross-chain protocol, right? How do you see it? What kind of the latest innovation people are working on right now?
Okay, so when you look at the future of the blockchain, basically, I would say basically looking at what is going on in the metaverse world and the gaming, I think it's actually it's going to drive the blockchain system very fast, because these are things that people are kind of doing day to day in their normal Web2 lives, and you're trying to bring it in a more connected system like the metaverse, whereby users can actually, without being physical in the place, do some virtual interactivity as if they are in a physical system. I think this is actually where the next blockchain boom will come out from, because it will kind of be an avenue to connect most of all these simple blockchain systems like the DeFi. Imagine in the metaverse, you can actually have the NFTs as items in the metaverse. You can have your trading in a DeFi system in the metaverse. So I think the metaverse is actually a good avenue and for the next blockchain boom, basically. The metaverse, the gaming, and some of all these things, basically, because yeah.
So I think as probably a young developer, right? You form your team, you're working on a project with a lot of potential. Do you have any advice on to the project leader, like how, when they're talking to angel investor or seed-stage investor, or potentially even talk to kind of customer, finding the product market fit, any special advice you have for them, so then they know they're actually doing something positive and making forward progress,
So for new developers talking to investors or angel investors, I think the best thing for a product to basically do is always, when you are speaking, you should have like a proof of concept of what you're trying to do, because most of these technologies you're talking about are basic and totally new to some of all these investors. So when you are speaking, you should not be totally overly technical. You should kind of bring it down to their level of understanding, give them some kind of proof of concept so that they can actually see that, okay, this is possible. And with that kind of approach, basically, you can find investors and people who kind of pick interest in what you are doing, basically.
Okay, and Sam from Divinity, anything to say, to add? And
on raising money, yeah?
Yeah,
from
or raising
investors.
money, or just advice in general. So
Okay, great. So proof of concept, like Samuel talked about, it's very important. There are a lot of rug pulls now, and there are a lot of fake project and scam projects. So having a proof of concept. Also, the team rather behind the project is very important. So people are no longer just looking for script kiddies, or people who just deploy their first Solidity smart contract. People are looking for people who have like good knowledge in cryptographies and all to build for the future. So you don't tend to build things that will be hackable in the next 3 months, and the whole startup comes to a crash. So yeah, so building a solid proof of concept, focusing on the right chains, because sometimes just building on the wrong chains would limit your project's growth or whatsoever. So right team, great proof of concept, and then you have it depends on how best you can sell your idea.
Okay, so Kelvin, so you are the marketing expert, right? You work with a lot of different projects. So what are the advice you have for all the project leaders?
Oh, well, yeah, that's right. First of all, I just want to apologize for the little glitch. I had to switch to the conference room, and also changing Wi-Fi. That's a bit of a problem. But anyway, about advising for projects and probably, aspiring CEOs or co-founders, I think one thing that we need to focus as, as activists in the crypto space is that we need to look at things that relate to the traditional world, like a business that we can sort of, make a mirror image of what we are having in the traditional space into the blockchain space. Let me give you an example so that you get to understand it. For instance, currently, if you look at launch pads are businesses in the space right now. Back then, it was all like bounties on Bitcoin Talk and ICOs. But these days, we have platforms actually helping raise these funds. Then we see this current trend of play to win games. I mean, play to earn was actually there on Twitch in the traditional world. But now we have a mirror image in the blockchain space. Now, what do we have again? Move to earn. Now, move to earn has more of like it's sort of bringing what we have in the fitness world, which is in the traditional industry, which is a real world business. Like there's a mega business out there. We have kind of mirrored the concepts and then making it more fun in the industry. So what I would advise people to actually look at is they should kind of look at actually building businesses, making mirrors of what we have in the traditional industry, or rather using the concept of blockchain technology to increase the speed, reduce the resources used, and also making it not have that sort of being dependent on a point source, but rather being decentralized. I think if we should focus on these kind of things, we would kind of avoid all the rug pulls and sort of building flash in the pan projects.
Okay, thank you. I think actually our time is up. But if everybody still have questions, just keep asking the Telegram group. We will forward to all the wonderful speakers, because I think that will be really good mentor for next generation like developer from Africa. Thank you, everybody. So right now I'm handing the mic back to Bao.
Okay, thank you guys. Like from your discussion, we realized that the blockchain technology and Web3 concept do actually have the power to revolutionize the Africa ecosystem in maybe the next 10 or 20 years. And now I want to introduce the next speaker, Andrew Matoni. And he is the Flow lead developer advocate. So Andrew, I will give the stage to you.
Hey everyone. Sorry, I'm just fighting with Zoom real quick. 1 second. How do okay. Can you see me? Hey, can you see my screen?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Afternoon, night. My name is Andrea. As Bo said, I am a dev advocate on the Flow team. And today I want to share with you a little bit about Flow, why you should consider building on Flow, and also, some key stats about our ecosystem and all the things you can look forward to if you do decide to build on Flow. You can reach out to me on Twitter. We only have half an hour today, but if you have any questions, feel free to reach out on Twitter or Discord. What I want to cover today is an introduction to Flow and Cadence, which shouldn't take too long. As I said, then we're going to cover a little bit about the ecosystem, which Bo recommended would be particularly relevant for all of you. And I also prepared a little memory of this talk. So if you stick around and you get to the end of the talk, you can claim your very own proof of participation NFT on Flow, completely free, which will look like this. I made it shortly before joining this call using the proof of participation platform we have on Flow called Float. So you can have this on your own and you can experience Flow for yourself. All right, so let's get into it, shall we? So first of all, Flow didn't just happen by chance, and it wasn't born randomly. The team that built Flow is Dapper Labs, and they built Flow for very specific reasons. They created CryptoKitties, back in the days, And CryptoKitties was so wildly popular that it essentially broke Ethereum. It was probably the first app that broke Ethereum. And that led them, and that led us now to kind of realize, okay, we need a chain that is more scalable. We need a programming language that is clearer and safer and more readable than Solidity. And let's see what's out there in order to pick a better chain for our next project. So the team spent months and months looking through all the white papers, and at the time they couldn't find anything. So even though the plan was never to create a new chain, they realized they had to create a new chain if they wanted to build the next CryptoKitties. So also fun fact, our CTO, Dieter Shirley, is also the author of the ERC 721 proposal on Ethereum. So you could say he's an inventor, or at least a co-inventor of the term NFT. So this is just to say that there's a bit of history around Flow, and again, it didn't happen by chance. So what is Flow? Flow is a layer 1 blockchain, right? And it's built specifically for consumer scale Web3 experiences. That means not 10,000 users or not 100,000 users, but millions of users and billions in the future. So what do you need to make a consumer scale experience? And it's not just about scalability, right? You need to have the right foundations in place to make it easy and to make it intuitive for users all over the world to join and not feel like they need to be crypto experts in order to be, to use a blockchain product. So that's why the team really focused on easy onboarding and unprecedented user safety. Proof of work is very expensive in terms of energy expenditure. So one of the key requirements was super environmentally friendly and sustainability. And the way that we achieve this is via proof of stake. And we'll see in just a second just how eco-friendly Flow is. And of course, you definitely need to be able to scale. And Flow adopts a pretty novel approach to this, which I'll get to right now. So how does Flow work? Most blockchains and most layer 1s, if they want to scale, they take on two approaches. The first approach is to shard, right? The problem with sharding is you're splitting state across different shards. So it's hard to maintain that, and that comes as a cost to the developer in terms of complexity and having to deal with this split state. And the other alternative is layer 2s, right? So you have a chain on top of the chain, but that kind of fragments things and also doesn't make it very composable, because you have some apps that are built on the layer 2, you have some apps that are built on the layer 1, and you have to get them to communicate via bridges, or it's just not ideal. So Flow takes a new approach, which is a multi-node architecture. So why instead of having one single node type, why don't we have multiple node types, and each node type is specialized in doing one thing? So the consensus nodes don't need to be as beefy and as powerful as the execution nodes that actually run the code of the smart contracts, right? So this allows for a lot of economies of scale and allows for a lot of participants to participate in the consensus without having to have huge machines to run the actual Flow virtual machine. You can read up on Flow's multi-node architecture later. I don't want to go too much into detail, but the core takeaway here is a layer 1 that can scale like a sharded blockchain or a layer 2 blockchain. That's the key focus here. We also mentioned that it's eco-friendly, right? These are some comparisons with other popular proof of stake chains, not to mention proof of work, right? Proof of work is like off the charts. So minting 12 or so NFTs on Flow is equivalent to 1 Google search. That's how eco-friendly it is. So a powerful blockchain doesn't have to come at the cost of the environment. And lastly, consumer-friendly onboarding. If you experience, and you can experience it at the end of this call, you can experience by claiming the proof of participation NFT, you'll see just how easy it is to onboard on Flow, mint an NFT, and you don't have to worry about installing browser extensions, which we do have, like Lilico. And even Lilico, which is a browser extension, offers a fantastic UX. Dapper is the wallet that powers popular apps like NBA Top Shot. And it onboarded, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of users. And most of them were completely new to the NFT space. Some of them didn't even realize that they were using NFTs, which I think is the key way to win Web3. The key way to win Web3 is creating experiences that are so intuitive and useful, and just that users have a reason to use them, regardless of the fact that they're built on the blockchain. And NBA Top Shot is a perfect example of that. And that's why it became so popular. And a lot of it was thanks to just how smooth and intuitive the onboarding experience was. And yeah, it's not just NBA Top Shot. There's a huge vibrant ecosystem, and I'll get into a little bit about what that means for you as developers a little bit later. But there's tens of thousands, there's more than 10,000 developers building now on Flow. There's more than 15 million wallets, thousands of active projects, and millions of monthly transacting wallets on Flow. So there's a flurry of activity. There's a growing ecosystem, and from top brands to indie developers, they're all building. And one of the cool things about Flow is really the community. You'll find that it's a super friendly and welcoming community. So if you jump in and you start building, you're going to have not just Flow community members helping you out, but also projects willing to collaborate and kind of building the ecosystem together. So I think that is one of the strongest points of Flow, and the one that I find the most rewarding. So let's talk a little bit about building on Flow, shall we? Just for the sake of time, I'm going to breeze through the basics. I did include a little bit of basics in case there were completely new people to Web3, but I do realize that this conference, it may have a lot of talks that cover a lot of the basics. So I'm going to just breeze through them really, really quickly. But I do want to emphasize something, like the blockchain, the purpose of the blockchain, right, is to have an open, decentralized, and shared database where you can store stuff, and you can kind of create logic, on-chain logic, that regulates applications, and it's open and decentralized. And why is that important, right? Why do we use a blockchain? Is composability. And this is one of the reasons Flow was built the way it is. That's why one of the reasons why it decided to have a multi-node architecture, so it didn't have to resort to layer 2s or shardings, is composability is truly one of the core reasons to build on a blockchain. Meaning that if I build an app, if I build a smart contract, that smart contract becomes the API for other smart contracts. And if you start splitting the chain, if you start sharding the chain, if you start having different layers, then those building blocks don't fit together as well anymore, right? So it's important to stay on the same level in order to be truly composable. And that is, I think, where also Flow excels at, and it was built from the ground up to be as composable as possible. And I think this will be the true success of Web3 in the long term, is being able to easily compose on top of each other and build experiences on top of existing experiences. A bit like currently we use APIs, but APIs need to be built, they need to be maintained, they need to be a proactive choice by the developer, whereas as a smart contract, you build it for your app and others can import it and build on top of it. So your project suddenly becomes the foundation for hundreds or thousands of projects after. So composability. And smart contracts, just in case you don't know what they are yet, they are just a piece of code, right? They are an application that runs on chain, so is executed during the processing of the blocks. And it's a way to kind of store on-chain state as well as regulate that state via on-chain logic. And again, like the advantage is this is all public, and others can not only audit it, and see it, but they can build on top of it, right? So given that smart contracts are kind of the foundation on which Web3 experiences are built, don't we as developers deserve a better language to write smart contracts in? For a couple reasons. First of all, Web3 is not like Web2 in the sense that a core part of Web3 is representing assets, and assets are scarce, and sometimes they're valuable, and sometimes you need to ensure that scarcity, and you need to ensure that value. So the safety of assets is incredibly important to represent at a language level, something that Solidity does not do. And another thing, for example, on Ethereum that happens is the state of the smart contract. So the NFTs that you own and the tokens that you have, those are all stored on the smart contracts. They're not stored in your account. People think that they're stored in your accounts, but they're actually stored in a dictionary in the contract. So your address maps to this amount. So if someone accesses that contract, they can change that state however they want. So it would be better if what you own is in your account, right? And, of course, it must be decentralized. And the language itself needs to be a bit more secure. It needs to have a better static type system. It needs to have a better integer overflow management. It should allow to upgrade smart contracts natively, and transactions should be as atomic as possible. And enter Cadence. So Cadence was initially inspired by Move, which is all the rage these days, but actually Cadence was based on Move years ago and was improved. Basically, Cadence was a result of looking at Move, liking some of the concepts, and taking it a step further. So you could see Cadence as like a new and improved Move. And it really is designed for Web3. Not only is it more readable and more intuitive, but it actually has paradigms within it that make it so much easier to represent assets, represent things like NFTs, like tokens, and it makes it almost impossible to accidentally lose those tokens or duplicate those tokens because of something called resources, which I'll show you in just a second. So resource orientation means that things can be special types within the language where they cannot be duplicated, they cannot be lost, or the transaction fails. Then it, of course, needs to be, and then it kind of addresses all of the other concerns that we talked about earlier. And it has a very familiar syntax, similar to TypeScript or Swift, if you're used to any of those. And it's actually quite readable. So let me show you a little snippet of Cadence. Not that you have to know it, but you'll see it's not complete machine code, right? We're defining a contract here, and there's a resource. We're creating a resource, which I'll get into what that means in just a second, and we're calling it an NFT. We're assigning it a property. We're initializing that property when we create this resource. Here we create a function that creates an NFT. And at the end, for this very basic contract, we are creating an NFT and we are storing it in our account, in the account itself, which is also completely new compared to other blockchains, right? You own what you have. So let's talk a little bit about resource. You'll see that resources use this weird arrow operator, and that's because it's moving the resource somewhere. Again, resources cannot be accidentally lost or duplicated. So there's a very deliberate syntax for dealing with resources, and the whole transaction or execution will fail if you try to accidentally duplicate or lose an asset. So this makes it very, very safe to write smart contracts in Cadence. So again, what is a resource? It's similar to linear types in Rust. It's a way to represent either a collection of objects or a single object. It can also have function, it can have methods, but the purpose is it can only exist in one exact place at one time. It cannot be copied or lost accidentally, and it has to be explicitly destroyed. So again, perfect for digital assets. Cool. And I mentioned it a couple times throughout these last couple slides, but another great thing, as you also saw in the contract example code, when we create a resource, we can store it within the account, the user's account, not the smart contract account. So when you sign a transaction on Flow and you mint an NFT, for example, that NFT is saved in your account. And every account has a storage where you can store objects in, and the smart contracts can lean on that storage to save information. And that way, everyone's state is owned by them and it's distributed across accounts, which also makes it a lot more decentralized and a lot safer. All right. Of course, like many other blockchains, when you start developing, you're probably better off using the emulator, which is an emulated chain. Then you want to build on Testnet and then go to mainnet. But if you see these three terms, emulator, testnet, mainnet, this is more or less what they mean. So the emulator is a local network, the testnet is a live network, but everything is fake. So the tokens, you can fund your account with however many tokens you want, but you can test your app with real users, and all the wallets have testnet equivalent accounts. And then when you're ready to go live, you go on mainnet, and that's where the real fun starts. Cool. And then apart from the contracts, the ways that you can interact with Flow are transactions, of course. So transactions mutate the chain. You can kind of think of transactions as authenticated post requests in traditional web apps or in traditional apps. So it has the authority to make changes to the actual chain. And then scripts are actually read-only calls to the chain that can query data, but it doesn't affect the state at all. So when you're developing, be mindful of this difference of transactions and scripts. It also means that scripts are super powerful because you can kind of use Flow as a read-only API just using scripts, and you don't need to even use a wallet to call scripts. So if you want to get started, and then I'll get to the ecosystem part, I highly recommend you start on the playground. We have a great playground where you can kind of learn about Cadence and build your first contract and run it in an emulated version of the chain, completely online, no need to install anything. So play.flow.com. And there's tons of tutorials that you can follow. Just click on this link here when you go to the playground on play.flow.com. And we also have some great developer tooling. The Flow CLI is like the one-stop shop for everything on Flow. So once you have the CLI installed, you can create accounts, you can run transactions, you can deploy contracts, you can basically do everything and run the emulator, run the developer wallet, run everything. And then the VS Code extension makes developing on Flow a lot easier because it gives you syntax highlighting. It can autocomplete things for you based on your other contracts and scripts and transactions. So definitely check it out. And you don't have to like just base your learning on these slides. We partnered with a lot of great course providers, such as BuildSpace. There's a whole track on Flow and Cadence. If you go to BuildSpace, we also partnered with LearnWeb3.io, which also have a very detailed course track, and Emerald Academy, which I'll talk about in just a second, but they are the academy. They're dedicated to only Flow education, so definitely check them out. So you can start learning with a lot of community resources as well. All right, very quickly about the ecosystem. So as I said earlier, the Flow ecosystem is one of the key reasons to build on Flow. Aside from the great tech, the great scalability, the great user onboarding, everything, the ecosystem is really what makes Flow special. There's two key resources that I think you should check out as developers. The first one is Flowverse. Flowverse is a community maintained hub of all projects on Flow, what they're up to. They have a really active Discord. You can just dive in and get a feeling for what it's like to be a Flow user, right? Being a developer is important to also get an idea of how the users are interacting with Flow, and Flowverse is the best way to do that. And if you build a project, you should partner with Flowverse to kind of get your project out there as well. They do AMAs, they just have a ton of activity, and they do a great work. And then if you're a developer and you want to join a developer group that's building all sorts of tools and services on Flow, then definitely check out Emerald City DAO. It's a developer focus. It's a bit like developer DAO. It's very dev focused. They're building tons of great tools and products, and anyone can jump in and help out. So these are the two key resources that I think you should check out regardless. But the Flow ecosystem is actually really vibrant. So to date, all projects on Flow cumulatively, apart from Dapper Labs, have raised more than $4 billion, right? So it's pretty vibrant ecosystem. And how can you be part of that? How can we help you be part of that? We have what's called an ecosystem fund. So the Flow ecosystem fund is a way that, it's just a way to support projects building on Flow. It's a total of 725 million committed to helping projects on Flow. And you can learn more at flow.com/ecosystem support, and I'll walk you through a couple of the ways that it does help. First of all, some of the partners that helped put the fund together are some of the most popular investors in the world, and so they're top-notch partners. And the way that the fund works, it's divided into 4 categories. The first category is classic developer grants. So developer grants are really, a way to just get funding for cool ideas that you have, open source projects that you want to build on Flow, services for developers, product bounties, anything that you think could help the Flow ecosystem from a developer perspective, and especially if it's open source, the developer grants is the way to go. And we have a team that just looks over this program. So if you're a developer, definitely check out the developer grants. We also have a Dapper Studio ecosystem fund. This is 10 million specifically earmarked to kind of nurture the Dapper Studio ecosystem. So things like NBA Top Shot, NFL All Day, UFC Strike. If you have great ideas on how to build applications on top of these, right? Going back to the topic of composability, if you have ideas on how to extend these applications and build additional great experiences on top of them, then the Dapper Studio ecosystem fund is for you. And we also have ecosystem investments. So Dapper Labs also invests in the best teams in the Flow ecosystem. So we've invested in more than 100 companies. And we've also co-invested with some of the top VCs. And then we also offer fundraising support. So if you want to get your project out there and you want to raise capital, maybe you're looking for more than a developer grant, then we can help you get in front of VCs. We can help with the with like your pitch. We can help you with the fundraising. So yeah, definitely check out flow.com/ecosystem support, as these are all things designed to help you be successful on Flow. There's been projects who have become successful without needing any of this, which is great, but it's always good to get help if it's available. So I'm running out of time. So the last thing I want to talk to you about is, rather than telling you about Flow, why don't you experience it yourself? I created this special NFT this morning for you, and it's a proof of participation NFT on Float, which is a platform, as I said earlier, is a it's kind of like POAP, but on Flow. And if you follow this link or QR code, it will take you to the claim page of, let me actually test out the link to double check, but it should work. Yeah, it works, perfect. So this will take you to a specifically designed NFT that I'm not a designer, but I tried to make it nice and cool using a graphic that I found on the Alibaba Cloud site for this event. So this will commemorate you having participated in this talk. This will commemorate you having been at this event and learning about Flow. So you can mint it to your Flow wallet. You just go to this site, you click on Connect Wallet, and you can connect either Dapper or Blockdo, or if you want to install, or if you already have or you want to install the Chrome extension, you can choose Lilico, which are the 3 wallets that I talked about earlier. Let me just refresh your memory. Yeah, these 3 wallets here, right? There's Dapper wallet, there's Blockdo, and there's Lilico. Just choose one of them. The first two, you don't need to install anything. It's all via email login. So super, super seamless. And yeah, you can claim your first NFT. All right. So thank you so much for taking the time to listen to me. Again, this was only 30 minutes, so there was only so much that I could talk about, but there's a whole lot more for you to discover. And I would really love it if you can reach out to me with any questions. I'm happy to help out, but definitely check out Flow Blockchain on Twitter and also join our Discord, discord.gg/flow for, yeah, just talking with the team and sharing your projects. And just in general, if you have any questions, we'd love to help you. Yeah, thank you so much. I don't know if we have time for questions, but I'm happy to answer them.
All right, thank you, Andrea. From your lecture, we hear very excellent stories about the Flow blockchain. So there is a short question from our Telegram group. So for Flow versus Ethereum users, which is better for startup NFT developer?
Oh, that's a great question. I think, as I said earlier, Flow was built to address all of Ethereum's shortcomings when it comes to specifically NFTs. So the team that built Flow built CryptoKitties, which was the most successful game on Ethereum ever, right? So they didn't need to build a new chain, but they had to build a new chain in order to create a, a foundation on which to build millions of users and onboard millions of users. So, of course, I'm biased, but I think that Flow is the best place to build an NFT project, thanks to the scalability, thanks to the smart contract language, Cadence, which is specifically designed to work with digital assets like NFTs. And we also saw that the community is very vibrant. There's all, and just to be very impartial as well, there's advantages to choosing Ethereum, right? It's like, it's been around for longer. There's probably more tutorials around. We're trying to address this, and the community is writing a lot of great content. So over time, this will be less of an issue, but I mean, like there's always reasons to choose either. But if I had to pick, I would obviously choose Flow.
Yeah, sure, cool. So thank you again, and thank you for the NFT.
No
Let's
problem.
move. Yeah.
Hope you enjoy it. All right. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Yeah, thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And let's move to the next speaker. The next speaker is Mehmet Said Gumas, and he is the founder of Web3 Hub CAS, and he is going to tell us the story about the Web3 ecosystem in Turkey. And yeah, Said, well, it's your stage now.
Hello everyone, I'm Said Gümüş from Turkey, and I am living in Kaş. I'm sorry, I'm in camera. And I am living in Kaş. Kaş is a small town in the southern area in Turkey, and it's a really cute town for digital nomads. It has a really good possibilities here. I want to start to Turkish Web3 ecosystem. Actually, now can open my. In Turkish ecosystem is really early stage. We start to from. My screen is down. Can you hear me?
Yeah, very clear.
Okay. Turkish ecosystem. I wanna show you about Turkish ecosystem. Turkey's permanent economic crisis. Only during last year, we have inflation rates more than 80%. The effect has been facilitated by the war in Europe, which pushed many refugees to secure their capitals in the relatively neutral country. Actually, our people are so used to be about cryptocurrency because our inflation, and they want to save their economy. And we have a lot of central exchange in Turkey, and our people are so used to be in digital bank ecosystem, and so many people are using cryptocurrency. But after pandemic and Russian and Ukraine war situation, so many digital nomads can't paid can take their paid from like Upwork, Fiverr, freelancer websites. Some sanctions, they closed their payment, and they changed their country. And Turkish situation is really good for them because we are really neutral position between two sides, and Ukrainian actually digital nomads, which one is working like freelancers, not just for Web3 ecosystem. And also Web3 guys came to Turkey, and they take their payment system and their salary from the Turkish Tether like stable coins. And after this time, a lot of crypto exchange office opened in Turkey. We have two main locations. First one is Istanbul. Second one is Antalya, because so many Slavians prefer this city. Kaş is also a small town in Antalya. We have a good nature and a good place for digital nomads. And this is from Istanbul blockchain. So many events started in Turkey about blockchain and Web3 ecosystem, like Eurasia blockchain summit, Istanbul blockchain. It has been for it started from 3 years ago, and it's managing every year. This photo from banks ecosystem, Turkish banks have are navigating to Web3 landscape. So many Turkish biggest banks, all of these are C-level from Turkish biggest banks, and they are really hard working on to connecting and regulations on crypto ecosystem. They are making like their metaverse area. They are trying to connect cold wallets within bank system, and they are speaking about this and arguing. We believe a crisis such as our pandemic, sanctions, and immigrations have accelerated the shift towards blockchain technologies, because these situations push people to find new solutions. For example, payments and transfer money and other things. And blockchain technology and Web3 systems is the best way to find solutions for this problem. And it's about and after we solve this situation, and I am also a lawyer, and I'm a partner of big law office in Istanbul, and we think about this situation, and we decided to open Web3 hub in Kaş for helping digital nomads, especially for Web3 people, to help them for every way, because they are coming here, they decide to live here, they have a lot of problem for daily life, because they want to adapt to a new country, new place, and new lifestyle. And we opened this hub. I want to show you this video, and I want to share with you. Our hub is in the center of Kaş, and we have a really good location. We are so close to Grace Island also. And we opened 15 June at 2022, and we made 54 crypto events. We are making a lot of Web3 team educations, network organization, network parties, and so many startups burned from here, because developers are coming here, entrepreneurs are coming here, VCs are coming here, and when they met each other, they are making a brainstorm, and they decided to new project on Web3. Also, so many Web2 guys, which one is working on Web2, like developers, designers, freelancers, when they saw opportunity in Web3, and they decided to work and study at Web3 area. Now, part they are coming to Web3 area because they saw opportunities, they saw solutions, they saw future, it will be ours, and they started our Web3 area. And we are making workshops, events, courses. I will show you a lot of photo and video what we did. Educations, network parties, brainstorms, events. Left photo from one of bar in Kash. We started and Web3 team, and we are making a lot of science everywhere, like bars, restaurant, everything. And 2 weeks ago, one app on EOS, and you can pay your bills, everything on crypto, and it's also have a discount. So many restaurants and cafes, bars, and beaches are already joined in this system. And Shawu, which one is visited us from another country. He came here, and we are making a lot of events every day in our hub. And he came and he saw us, and we met each other. And I'm really thankful to him because how I joined this summit. We are making a lot of events, which I told you. We are giving educations workshops, which ones has experience and developers from blockchain area. Someone has no idea about crypto and blockchain, and they have, but they want to learn how do they do this. And face to face, we are making workshops about crypto and how can they start and work this area? How can they take profit from this? And how can they educate themselves? It's all about crypto in 2 hours. It's Pavel Alimov from Russia. He's a crypto developer. And Langmei is Airdo CEO. Airdo is last name is AMB, which one is unlisted Binance global token. And he is a successful entrepreneur, and he's teaching about how to raise $3 million for your startup. We are explaining Web3 terms also. What is DeFi? What is ReFi? What is DAO? And we are making events and workshops for this. And we had also NFT workshop for creators. So many artists and designers are here, but they want to make their NFT, their projects. They heard something, but they have no idea how they can start, where they can start, and how they make their NFTs. And we are giving educations also for them, how they can choose which chain, which market, and how they can take profit and improve themselves from this area. We have also channels on Telegram. We are preparing a newsletter in news and regulations on Turkey, on global, and we are giving like another channels to communicate in this our community and organization from this, and our community is getting growing like this way. People are touching each other. Each one is their community. For example, one developer came here when they started to live here, and they let them know in Turkey's possibility, Turkey nature, and how is living here. And their team and their maybe another team guys, they are coming here, they start to live here, and they are growing their community. And when they come here, they are making networks with another teams or another guys with on blockchain and technology. And when they are communicate, we are making like big like events and workshops like brainstorm, how they can work together, how they can improve this area, how they can improve themselves also. And so many times one night when which one is making speech and teaching something about his professional, one day later he was a listener. He will be listener, and he's learning another technology and another area. This Evgeny Ostanich, he gives speech like BUIDL, how to choose niche blockchain protocol and build your own Web3 startup. And these photos from like brainstorm, same time maybe two groups who came here and they are meeting with each other and they are thinking about their projects, their new projects, and to think about like how they improve, how they can work with together. And we have also our motto is for future, and we are believing in a new generation. We started giving a coding class for children, and they are coming here. Which one is like which one has a profession on making coding? We start from Python, but we are planning like Solidity and Rust. We are teaching to children crypto coding program for children. This is our children class events, and we are also giving experience to children. Sometimes we are giving VR glass, and they are designing their 3D models. They are learning how they can enter metaverse.
I just see my.
I want to show this video. Sorry.
You see? I can't see anything. I'm just. I just see my.
It's from another speech. So many people are heard about Web3 and blockchain, and also same time they are IT guys, but they don't know deeply how they can use, how they can be a developer on this area, how they can work on this area. And we are making events like this, and so many experts are coming from different areas, and they are discussing about Web3, what is Web3, what they can do, and we are thinking about future, what it can be in the future, and they are thinking about speaking about these topics. And sometimes which one is coming from they are really a successful startup, they are sharing their experience, and sometimes they are coming developers, and this time he's Ilya Korolov, which one is from Russia. He is VC, venture capital, and he talk about which points are looking when he wanna invest startups. He's sharing experience, and they are discussing about this. And when people are has a startups, and they are changing their system. And we have also team party about Web3 because when at party people are relaxed, and they are having fun, and they are meeting new people, and they are sharing comedy, because we are human, and we need we are also psychological animals, and we need to relax, because on this area up there coming from so many Russians and Ukrainians came from their country. Before, and I shared our experience and our projects, and I want to give you in Turkish another Web3 ecosystem. I want to let them information, give information to you in Turkish ecosystem. In 2018, first university blockchain clubs opened in Turkish university, Istanbul Technical University. After this, from this day, around 100 university clubs, blockchain clubs opened in Turkey from students. They are making projects. They are entering a lot of events and sharing a network with each other. But until today Istanbul is base of Web3 ecosystem because so many events managing at there, and Turkish biggest cities, universities club are leader of this ecosystem. Turkey has a really good potential for Web3 because our digital bank system is really powerful, and so it can be adaptable on crypto ecosystem. And our new generation is so interesting about blockchain because they heard a lot of news from their relatives, their friends about crypto. First, we interest about crypto and money opportunities, but after day by day, we start to interest about technology and Web3 culture. I think I didn't finish my time, but I can take questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Said Gumas. Yeah, we do see blockchain technology and Web3 culture flourishing in the Turkey's ecosystem. So you just said that you are a lawyer. So some of our viewers are curious about that. What makes Turkey to become such a great place for blockchain technology and Web3 development? Are there any policies and regulations favored?
It's really funny. How can I explain? I don't know. Normally in Turkey, crypto payments is forbidden, unlawed. But our government has a different strategy because they made forbidden to payment on crypto ecosystem, but there is no punishment. And you can see hundreds of one street in one city, hundreds of crypto exchange office, and they want to make regulation. Our government, they want to do something, but they let them down the market, and they want to see what is the what will people do, and they want to understand. They didn't understand, and they don't know what they will do, and they opened one department, our Turkish presidency digital transformation office, and they are working really hard. When I go to any blockchain events, I saw some government people. They are coming there and they are sometimes making speech. They are looking, they are making network, they are speaking big startups like DAOs, owners, DEX owners, and they firstly they want to understand and they want to see what will be. It's on the paper, it's forbidden, but there is no punishment. I think they don't let them like out of the control, and they are working some regulations. Soon in 1 year, we will see what will happen. But it's like free now.
Okay, that's really interesting. So I also have noticed that the Turkey has established its university level blockchain center. So what change could you expect the blockchain technology could make in the educational industry?
Education industry, around 100 university opened blockchain club, but it's not formal. Several university opened from some like IT engineer or something. They add some lessons on blockchain from last year, and day by day is growing. And I saw some working like from government education ministry, and they are starting one project on with VR glass and metaverse and blockchain. Our president normally he's really like looking against to cryptocurrencies, but he is really supporter on blockchain technology. I am following him speech, and he always like speak really bad things on cryptocurrencies because he believing it's scam and people are losing so much money. and it's so obvious our economic situation, and people wanna make rich, and so many situations that scam is happening. But he's supporting blockchain technologies, and last month his political party made a blockchain summit in Istanbul. It's so strange because I never heard one political party made a blockchain summit.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for the answer. And thank you again, Mr. Sen Gumas.
And I want to show you my partner. She designed our office, and she's a designer and also architect. And she's managing all kids school and events. She's Julia. She's my partner, and I'm really thankful to her because I made everything this community with her. It's her account, our nickname.
Okay. Hi, Julia.
Hello, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. And now I would like to introduce the next speaker. Our next speaker is Jack Fu, and he is the head of business development from salon. And Jack, you may start whenever you're ready.
All right, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, great. Okay, so thank you so much for having me. My name is Jack. Hi everyone. So I'm Jack from Safe Heron, and today I'd like to speak about this topic: digital asset risk management and security trends. All right, so today's the agenda will be I'll be mainly covering 3 areas. Number 1, the private key management. We focus on MPC and TEE technology. I'll go into details on what these 2 technologies are. And then I'll cover about risk management with regards to digital asset custody. And finally, I'll talk about new security trends with regards to asset custody. Okay, so the first up, private key management on MPC and TE technology. So why is private keys so important? Okay, now before I go into that, I just like to say that security is so vital in crypto, and we just got to look at the spate of incidents involving large digital asset losses, in just the past few months. All right, so in September, we had this very large hack involving Wintermute, where $160 million was compromised because they used the profanity wallets that had a vulnerability in the code. Okay, so $160 million was exploited. So that's a huge sum of money. And the reason behind it, private key exploit. And a month earlier, we had thousands of wallets, on the Solana ecosystem that was attacked, and we had more than $5 million that were lost. And I still remember very vividly that, when that happened, because, it involved like thousands of wallets. So there was huge panic in the Solana community. People were wondering, was there something wrong with the Solana blockchain, right? Was it a supply chain attack? And it turned out that there was this vulnerability in the Slope wallet that many of the users were using. And again, what was the cause? Private key compromise. And then in June, we had $15 million worth of Optimism tokens that was wrongly sent to a wrong address. Okay, and in this case, it involved Wintermute organization again. And because it was sent to the wrong address, an attacker was able to exploit, and to compromise that asset that was sent to, a wrong address. And in this case, the reason it is down to human error. And in May, same thing, we had $36 million worth of Juno tokens that was sent to the wrong address. Okay, and because it was sent to a wrong address, it got stuck down there, and the assets were lost forever, just like that. All right, and why do I want to just highlight these 4 cases? We could see that, just within a span of a few months, we had hundreds of millions of tokens that was lost because of private key leakage, human error. And if we look throughout the history of digital asset losses, private key compromise and human error are two of the recurring themes that has led to large amount of asset losses. And you could be sure that these cases is certainly not going to be the first, and it's not going to be the last. So if we think that if we put asset in centralized institution and centralized exchanges, our assets going to be safe, we got to think again. All right, I think most of us in the crypto community are familiar that with the spectacular implosion that happened to FTX. So like this November, FTX, nobody thought FTX would fall, right? Especially with the founder, Sam Bankman-Fried. He's so prominent in the crypto community. He's so prominent with regulators, working with regulators in Washington to come up with regulations, so-called, to make the space a safer space. But his own exchange failed, completely. And that reason behind it is that apparently they didn't have enough reserve to back up the amount of deposits. All right, so centralized exchanges like FTX, when they fell, many users were affected. Again, it's not the first case where a large prominent CeFi institution was affected. We had cases like Mt. Gox, one of the first major exchange that was hacked, and many people lost their assets. Many users lost their net worth because they put their holdings in there. We had in this year alone, we had Celsius that fell. We had BlockFi. We had Voyager. So some of these big names in centralized financial institutional space that fell because either they were hacked or they were facing bankruptcy proceedings, and at the end of the day, it's the users that was the most affected. Now, why do I want to bring this case up? Because I like to highlight that whether you are in DeFi, decentralized finance, or CeFi, risk exists, and it brings on one important point that I like to highlight, to set the tone for the rest of the presentation, is that now more than ever, these cases just drives home the importance of having secure self-custody. Okay, so how do we have secure self-custody? How could we better protect our assets? Now we got to go back to basics, have a look at the fundamentals, and I want to talk a little bit about cryptographic keys. Okay, so cryptographic keys, now where do we start? We start from the very base. First we have the seed phrase, or commonly known as mnemonic phrase or recovery phrase. So basically these are random clusters of 12 or 24 random words that a user could use to generate a backup to have access to your funds. And then from the seed phrase, from there you could generate your private key. Okay, now private key is something that's very important, something that I'm going to be highlighting throughout this presentation, because private key is really what you use and what you need to gain control of your asset, because you will need private key for things like transfer of funds, for transactions approval, and basically whoever have control of your private key has control of your assets, period. All right, so that's why private key, it's so important. And from private key, you could derive your public key, and public key is what you use to receive funds. And in turn, public key is used to generate a public address, and that's where you send your funds to. All right, now I'm going to go back to private key. Why private key is so important? Because essentially, whether you are dabbling in any Web3 projects, in any DeFi protocols, or whether you are in the business of asset management, whether you are doing payment platform, exchanges, game files, or an NFT. Basically, you need private key in all of the activities that, regardless of what area in, because basically, if you want to do asset transfer, approval of transactions, you want to do swapping of assets, you want to do permission management, everything involves around the use of the private key. And as long as you need to use private key, you will need to have a proper private key management. Unfortunately, private key often suffers from a single point of failure. And that's what we're going to tackle today. Okay, so how do we mitigate a single point of failure on the private key? Okay, that's where secure multi-party computation, or MPC, comes in. All right, so why we talk about single point of failure on the private key? Because traditionally, or most often, the way a user or institution manage asset is that it's a single user controlling a single private key. But the problem is, if the user or the user's platform that he used, whether it's the server that is used to store the private key, or it's a mobile phone that is used to store the private key, or that browser extension wallet that is stored the private key, if that gets compromised, then basically you lose control of your asset. Now, MPC is designed to tackle this issue. So what is MPC? Okay, MPC, basically, it's a cryptographic concept that was introduced in the 80s by this Chinese professor called Andrew Yao. So he came up with this multi-party computation to essentially solve this problem called a millionaire problem. So a millionaire problem, I won't go into detail, but what it's about is, how does 2 or 3 millionaires know who among them is the richest and have the highest net worth without revealing, publicly revealing their individual net worth. Okay, but from a computation perspective, MPC is basically, allows 2 or more parties to securely and to privately input the data into the system to achieve an outcome, all without the need of a trusted third party. So how do we use MPC to better the security of your asset management? Okay, so number one, we could use multi-party computation to generate different key shards. So instead of a single private key, you could use MPC key generation protocol to split up a private key to say 3 parts. All right, 3 parts held by 3 different parties. And when one was to execute that MPC key generation protocol, each party will get its own key shard, and they would have a shared public key, which they could use to co-manage funds, and all without revealing that private key. All right. And the key point is that throughout the whole life cycle of the private key, whether is it the key shard generation, to storage, to the signing, to verification, private keys never ever appear. All right, so if the private key never appear, it makes it more difficult for the private key to get compromised. All right, and to further enhance security of the private key, we could have a key refresh protocol where upon a certain time interval, the private key, various private key will be refreshed and generates a new set of private key shards, and the old sets would be invalidated. So how does this make it more difficult for a private key to get compromised? Okay, so you can just imagine if an attacker, now in the past, if he wants to get hold of a private key, if it's just a single private key held by a single user, he just need to compromise the user, okay, or the private key. But now, if you have, let's say, 3 key shards, based on a 3 out of 3 threshold protocol, now the attacker would have to not just compromise 3 different key shards, especially if it's held by 3 different parties, but they have to do so within a very limited time frame. Okay, that helps to dramatically increases that difficulty level in terms of getting hold of the private key, and that basically what we want is that to make it economically invisible for the attacker to want to attempt an attack in the first place. All right, so that the risk reward ratio doesn't make sense for the attacker to want to attempt it, and that they should focus on lower hanging fruits rather than attacking somebody that's using MPC to secure the assets. So that's a basic principle. Now, when we talk about securing asset, we want to also have be cognizant about the concept of decentralizing risk. So earlier, I mentioned about not having a single private key that can be a source of single point of failure, and we can have the private key become private key shards that can be held by 3 different parties. So for example, we can have a key shard that is held by a user, maybe on the mobile or on their own server end. And then we can have the second key shard that is held by a vendor. So let's say Safe Heron, we can custody one of the key shard, and then we can have a trusted third party that holds the third key shard. Okay, and then we have that key shard custody decentralized across multiple parties, across multiple servers and devices. So that makes a chance of a compromise a lot more difficult. And that to further enhance the level of security further, we could have the key shard that can be protected by a separate hardware layer, which, for example, Intel XGX chip, which provides security enclave, whereby the data and the key shard data that's stored inside, it's fully encrypted, okay, and making it inaccessible to not just external hacker, but also internal staff, because we want to protect against internal theft as well. All right, and with the use of Intel XGX, that creates a trusted execution environment, TEE, under which the custody of the key shard and the code execution can be assured. So basically what we want is that we want to have multi-party governance and multi-cloud deployment to mitigate that single point of failure risk associated with centralized governance. Okay, so here's a quick comparison table that demonstrate how an MPC solution like one from Safe Heron stack up against other solutions like a smart contract wallet or hardware wallet like Ledger or Trezor. So today I wouldn't go into details with on all these aspects, but what I'd like to summarize with this comparison table is that an MPC solution like Safe Heron would give the best balance in terms of security coverage, and the flexibility in terms of, having multi-signature capability to be able to have transactional and approval workflow to manage your asset, the ability to have multi-chain support, not just to support, say, assets on EVM chains, but also on other blockchain protocols like Solana or like Near or Aptos or Sui, for example, and also being able to enjoy lower gas fee and on-chain privacy. If that's what some of the user want, then an MPC solution like Safe Heron will give that best balance. But we understand that different users would have different requirements. Some users, they do not need multi-signature. They prefer to have the asset in cold storage. So okay, hardware would be sufficient. Some people will just say that, okay, I just have assets on the EVM chain. I don't need complex approval policies and transaction policies. And in that case, and I would like to have on-chain transparency in terms of, my multi-signing party. Okay, then smart contract would be maybe would be more suitable. So we could have different solutions for different scenarios. Okay, and then comes to the second part of my presentation. business risk management. Now, earlier we talked about using private key shard management and decentralizing user management across different users, different platforms, and that we don't have a single point of failure. Now, we could also use approval flow and transactional policy to further mitigate risks. All right, and here's an example. Now, one way to better secure your asset is that we could have a whitelisting of address. Okay, and that means that asset transfer could only be transferred to an address if and provided an address is whitelisted. Okay, but you will not want somebody in the organization to just unilaterally whitelist an address, because a member in your team could whitelist his own address and he could have his asset transferred to his own personal address, and you don't want that. So you could have an approval workflow where a person can initiate that whitelisting of the address, but you will need to have, say, 2 out of 3 from your finance department to approve this process before that whitelisting of address can be finalized. So that's one way where we introduce multi-party governance to whitelist an address. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, if you're going to have a large sum of money, say 10 million USDT or 10 million USDC that you would like to transfer out to an external address. And this time we could have 3 rounds of approval involving stakeholders from different departments. Like, for example, you could have 1 out of 2 from your risk control department that will have to approve. And then you have the second layer approval from the finance department. And then finally, you need 2 out of 2 from the management team to approve before such an approval workflow, can be instituted. All right, and why do I show this example? Because I like to drive home that important point whereby when you have a multi-party governance and multi-party approval process where you can check, you can have a check and balance process in place. You can have multi-party to review this process. Now, such a multi-party approval and signing process would go a very, very long way towards mitigating risks associated with internal collusion, internal theft, as well as human error. So some of the cases that I mentioned earlier, where we had Wintermute, sending assets to the wrong address, or we have Juno tokens sending to the wrong address. Now, if you have a multi-party check and balance process in place, like I mentioned earlier, we could mitigate such incident to a very, 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 very large extent. Okay, and we could apply such multi-party governance to when interacting with Web3 or DeFi protocol, whether is it permission management with regards to GameFi or NFT, or permissions where you interact with smart contract, we could have an approval workflow in place. Okay, and if we want to take this a step further and we want to have automation of transactions, and you want to involve a multi-party computation process, using multiple private key shards and using multi-party signing. Okay, we could use API to initiate the transactions. Okay, involving an API gateway, and you could have what we call an API cosigner that is stored on the client server, so that the users have complete control over their key shards, and you can have basically API to automate this process. And should a certain kind of transaction require manual approval, but you will need to have automation in terms of transaction of initiation of transaction, you could use API as well. Okay, the last part I want to talk about, it's security trends with regards to digital asset custody. Now, the first trend that we see is that nowadays most people in Web3, they use hot wallets, and because a lot of them are free. So, we have hot wallet like MetaMask, like Rabi, all right, and like a block wallet. Okay, so these are hot wallets that uses a browser extension, single party signing. Now we foresee that more and more of this kind of hot wallets would incorporate MPC into the signing process. So, for example, you could have two-party signing, one party using the browser extension to sign, and then you can have the other party using a mobile app, for example, to do signing. Okay, and I just like to highlight that such use case is now a reality. So we, Safe Heron, we actually worked out a proof of concept project with MetaMask, where MetaMask use our Safe Heron MPC technology to do a two-party computation, where using their browser extension with a separate hardware wallet. In this case, it's a Keystone hardware wallet to do two-party signing. Okay, and that's not fantasy, that's already a reality. So that's something that we have done with MetaMask. And then the second trend that we foresee is that protocols like GameFi and DeFi and NFTs, users, they want to participate with DeFi. We foresee that more of these protocols will build their own native wallets, and that's meant to address one big issue, right? Which is for many Web2 users, many of them still find it difficult to have their own, to manage their own seed phrase and the recovery phrase. So that actually it's a source of friction, a source of resistance, right? Because many of them are just not technically inclined to manage recovery phrase, to use their own wallet, to import recovery phrase, and to store access to their own wallet. So we see that to address this issue, more and more of this DeFi protocol will build their native wallets, and they could use MPC to have two-party computation wallets working similar like Zango. So for example, you could have one key shard stored on the user's mobile phone, one key shard stored on the DeFi protocol's server. And if a user ever needs to restore access to their assets, let's say using a different mobile app, maybe they could just use their email address. They could use an authentication method like biometric, like a facial recognition, to get hold of a decryption key, and use together with a recovery file, and then they could get access of their key shard, all without the need of using recovery phrase. Okay, so we foresee that more and more seedless and keyless type of recoverable wallets would be used. And finally, the last trend that we'll see, with regards to MPC, is that instead of using centralized web hosting providers like AWS or Azure to custody the key shards and to host the MPC nodes, we foresee that in future, these MPC nodes will be hosted on the blockchain instead. Okay, and we think that it's important because that would help further increase the level of decentralization and increase the level of fault tolerance with regards to MPC nodes deployment. So if should an MPC node were to, for some reason, if it were to go down, we could have other MPC nodes ready to take the place. Okay, and then when we have a decentralized MPC network, we will have a network that's more hardy, and to provide computing power to process transactions like transfer of L1 or L2 assets, or to do swapping, or to do cross-chain transfer, and basically to have a more resilient network in place. Okay, and to sum up what I just covered, what I would like to highlight and what we at Safe Haven would like to see is that, at the end of the day, for users in the Web3 space, whether you are crypto native or non-crypto native, whether you're from Web2, you want to transit to Web3, and you want to take part, in the, ever-growing, crypto ecosystem. What we want to see is that we want users to have a better user experience and that to enjoy a better security level. And that's what we foresee, it's going to, accelerate adoption of Web3 to mainstream level. And ultimately, that's what we want. And with that, thank you very much. And, if you want to contact me, you can just scan this QR code for WhatsApp, Telegram, and WeChat. That's it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Jack. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. Like with digital asset risk management, it's really important. Like you need to keep your password of the bank account safe, just like that. So we have a question from our Discord channel. Like the question is, how do I determine if my assets are under attack? And if the attack happens, are there any ways to keep my assets safe in my wallet? Or if the assets has been already stolen, are there any ways to get my money back?
Okay, so the question is like, how do you determine if you are under attack? Okay, one sure sign, telltale sign, if you are under attack, if it's suddenly, if you look at your assets, if let's say you have 10 Bitcoin and suddenly from 10 Bitcoin, it becomes 5 Bitcoin and then it suddenly becomes 0 Bitcoin. And then because, blockchain transactions are transparent, and if you see that, you look at the blockchain explorer, and if you see that all these assets are going to an address that, you're not familiar with, and you see this transaction is done without your approval, then it's a sure sign you are under attack. All right. And that's why it comes back to one important point that I mentioned earlier. Very often, users are using, managing their assets whereby it's just a single user, using a single private key. All right. And basically, if you're using a hot wallet like MetaMask, you really got to make sure that, your private key, because it's connected to the internet, it's you got to make sure that this private key is not compromised. All right. And if your recovery phrase, you store it offline, nobody has access to it. But even if you use, say, a hardware wallet, and you have a single private key, and you have a single recovery phrase, you really got to safeguard that single recovery phrase with your life, because that somebody, got hold of it, you take picture of it, and that's it. So why we talk about MPC? Because we really want to decentralize that single point of failure with regards to the private key, with regards to the user level, with regards to the device and the server, to multiple layers, so that, if attacker wants to get hold, they have to make sure that every single one of the device and the private key shards and, where the key shards are stored across multiple servers, every single one of these are compromised before your assets can be compromised. So basically, decentralizations of the private key and decentralization of your risk, it's so vital.
Okay, thank you for the answer. Thank you, Jack. And I would like to introduce our next speaker. Our next speaker is Iman Haraway. She is the founder of Erebus in blockchain. So Ms. Haraway, you will start whenever you're ready.
Hello. May I share my screen?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
You may share your screen now. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I think you can see it now.
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay, great. First of all, hello from Egypt, and thank you for inviting me for this great hackathon and giving me this honor to be with you. And I would love to thank all the audience who are watching this presentation for their participation, and wish them a good luck. In today's session, I would love to give you, kind of quick introduction about the Web3 ecosystem in the Middle East. And before we start, I would love to start with introducing myself. My name is Iman Hirawi, or Iman Hirawi. I'm from Egypt. I'm the founder of Arabs in Blockchain. Arabs in Blockchain is the community where we are trying to build a strong blockchain community in the Arab region and increase the Arabic content in blockchain. Also, I'm a co-founder of Noon DAO. It's a Arab women-led DAO, focusing on empowering Arab women in blockchain. DEFCON Scholar Alumni Ethereum Foundation. It is a scholarship provided by Ethereum Foundation where they selected 50 scholars around the world. And I was so lucky to be the only Egyptian and the only Arab woman. And also I was so lucky to be one of the top 10 scholars in the scholarship. I'm a blockchain developer. This is where I'm living. I'm making money for a living, and I love to work as a developer. Also, Tech Women 22 Fellow. Tech Women is a program funded by the US Department, where they selected 100 women leading in a STEM field from 20 countries in MENA regions of Sub-Saharan Africa, South and Central Asia. GBA Egypt chapter lead. GBA as a government blockchain association where we are trying or working hard to increase the blockchain adoption in the government. And last but not least, I hold a professional master's degree in cloud computing network from Cairo University. For this session, I just prepared. I hope you like the content I provided. I prepared. So we will start with a overview of the Middle East, just to make sure that we all on the same page, kind of like sharing some information about this region, and then we will discuss the Web3 ecosystem in the Middle East in terms of regulation, community, and workforce. As you can see here in the map, the Middle East consists of 18 countries, and 13 countries out of this 18 countries are Arab countries, which means that we are talking the same language. We have a shared or common history, common culture, and tradition. Yes, there are some differentiation. It makes sense, like even the same country, it's normal, but there are so many things in common. And the next thing, as you can see also, the highest population is in Egypt, then in Iran and Turkey. In Egypt, we are more than 1 million. I think last year we were 1,000,004, and this year I think we hit the 1,010,000 now. This is who are living in Egypt, but we almost have kind of, I think, 4 or 5 million living outside of Egypt. Also, just to one important point to consider here is only one country of the 18 countries are not speaking English as official language. So, this is something important to highlight here. So for building a project, because you are hacking now to build an awesome project, wish you all the best. There are 3 main pillars to consider. First is regulation. When it's come to MENA region or the Middle East, regulation, the community or the target users, user who will use your products, and the workforce, because it makes sense that you might need people to come to join your team. For the regulation in the MENA region, you just start with asking yourself, are you using or developing a cryptocurrency? And why I'm asking this question, because there are so many misconceptions about this point. People think that blockchain is cryptocurrency, and because cryptocurrency is not regulated in certain place or illegal in certain country, you cannot use blockchain. So if you are not using a cryptocurrency or dealing with a cryptocurrency, you don't have to worry about, which country you are targeting or operating on. But if you are using a cryptocurrency or developing a cryptocurrency, you have to wisely select where to operate. And I do encourage you to consult a legal firm, because the regulation is different from country to another. As all the world know that UAE is like leading in this domain, but also you can consider a country like Bahrain. But at the end of the day, again, I'm not a legal consultant here, so I cannot give you any consultation related to the regulation part. But this is just like general information. Everyone working in this in the Middle East, no. For the community, I will take some times here. I will give you first kind of information about the community in Middle East or MENA region. MENA region is the Middle East and North Africa. So because some reports, because the North African countries are Arab countries, so some reports combine the Middle East and North Africa as well. So the MENA region are young countries, as you can see. More than 55% are young people under 30 years old, and around 48.2 are females, and 2.5 are university students now. And we are variant in terms of economic situation and even political situation. So you will find a country where their economic situation is very good, other country no. So we are very varied in terms of economic situation. When it's come to challenge, we will take some time here, because the first and main challenge you will see is a language barrier, because we are not speaking English as a first language. And most of the literatures and most of the content are written in English. And you might think, yes, okay, is this an easy way to solve it? Just localize. If you are building a product, you can, have an in Arabic interface or a Turkish interface, for example. I will focus more in the Arabic part, because this is what I'm, experienced in, and because 13 out of 18 countries are Arab countries, so I can give you more details here. You can think, yes, okay, we can have some Arabic content. And yes, that's true. But it's not that easy, because we will start with asking how you will translate blockchain into Arabic, for example. And guess what? After 14 years now, since the Bitcoin was launched, this question remains unanswered. There is no unified answer. We didn't agree about how we will translate blockchain. Some people, say, okay, a blockchain is just a word, and all of us around the globe using blockchain, saying blockchain, and we will write it as blockchain, what's called transliterate. So I will write blockchain in Arabic letters the way I pronounce it. And this leads to a form of writing blockchain. And because, the way we are pronouncing the word is not the same, the same. And when it's come to vowels, I can say, okay, I have the vowel here, no, another one. And we end up around 8 or more form of writing blockchain in Arabic. The word blockchain, just in Arabic letters. Other people say, okay, let's have a literal translation. So blockchain is chain of block. So we'll say chain of block in Arabic, سلسلة الكتل in Arabic. And another people say, okay, what is the functionality of blockchain? It's a trust. It's a chain of trust. So we will have the same in Arabic. So we have سلسلة الثقة. And this, you know, if you just one word, we have so many forms, so many versions, and there is no unified glossary for that. And some countries, some businesses already started to work on that. They started to have the Arabic version of their products, like Binance or Ethereum Foundation already participated in the Ethereum Foundation translation program. And I can tell you, this, you know, make the problem worse, make it harder, because each business, each company, you know, ended up with its own version of the glossary, its own glossary. This is a waste of time, waste of cost. And at the end of the day, the Arabic reader will feel confused, because what I saw in Binance, translation for example, for token is different than what I saw in Ethereum Foundation website or in X products, and this make it harder. And this is not only for the confusion, also the results for the Arabic readers. You know, like when anyone wants to Google to learn more about what is blockchain or so, the different standardization of spelling or translation for the main keywords, you know, and affect negatively the say result. So this is one of the challenge we have to the language barrier, especially because you cannot ask, you know, blockchain is not only for developers or entrepreneur, blockchain for everyone. And if you want everyone to be in this domain, you need to work on make it easier for them to come. It doesn't make sense to force people, your grandma or your father or your aunt, to learn English first in order to get important to blockchain or understanding blockchain. This is the first challenge we have. The second challenge we have lots of scams in the crypto spheres, because when it comes to money, many people try to manipulate. And that makes people discouraged or concerned, especially if I have a friend who lost his money because he came to this domain without, you know, doing his homework. You know, like they just feel like encouraged to, because there are so money in this domain, but without giving themselves the time to learn or studying the project very well. So they end up with losing their money. So because of this, all these stories, people feel discouraged to come. Also the legal and religious constraints. And here, because, for example, in Egypt, cryptocurrency is prohibited, some people may feel like discouraged to go into trouble with this domain. And the religious here, because we have so many fatwas, like it's allowed and allowed from religious perspective, it's haram or halal. And this is just for the cryptocurrency in general. But when it comes to DeFi project, it's more than, it's harder, because I couldn't see lots of people or lots of fatwas about the DeFi project itself. Even for me, like I'm working in this domain almost for more than 4 years or almost 5 years now. So I cannot, you know, like deal or work on some product because I feel like I don't have a clear understanding of the religious status of this project. So I end up with, okay, I will avoid working on this, or I will avoid dealing with this product because I don't know it's haram or halal. The next challenge we have is the lack of community engagement. You will see lots of activities in Dubai, but this is not the same for the rest of the countries. So because there is no community, I didn't even hear about blockchain. I didn't know how to start all these stuff. And here I'm talking about the community in general, people who are like just users. I'm not talking about the developers or entrepreneur. And the next challenge we have is the technology maturity level. And here, because of the inherited constraints from the technology maturity level, people at the end of the day, they love to use an easy tool, a fast tool, products. So because of the current challenges we have in the blockchain, because it's still evolving, people might feel discouraged about that. So you might consider providing a better UX or so. And the insufficient blockchain adoption, again, in terms of governmental adoption, university adoption, or even the community itself, because we don't have like a big community in each country. So for the workforce, I just want to start with some data from the future of jobs and skills in the Middle East and North Africa report published or provided by the World Economic Forum in 2017. In this report, they stated that the United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and Egypt are leading in the local availability of high-skilled jobs, and these jobs are employment. These jobs include commercial bankers, corporate finance, specialists and accountants, school teachers, academic engineer, quality assurance professionals, information security consultants. And they grab these data based on or according to LinkedIn. And this is in Web 2. When it's come to Web 3, we have so many challenges to onboard those people to Web 3. The first one, again, the language barrier, because you might say, okay, I think people like developers, for example, need to have a good command of English. And yes, I agree with you. But I will share with you two stories. The first one, a story, it was in 2019. I raised with the Ethereum Foundation, the Ethereum community in Japan, because blockchain, as I told them, blockchain is advanced technology, and for beginners, you might feel like it's complex, and it's very challenging to study advanced technology in a language you are not professional in, or you're not fluent in, and it's easier for you to study it in your local language. And also, it's not only about having, as a translation. Okay, I can translate public key to using Google, but I want someone from my community. I want someone really talking the same language to interpret this to me. I want someone to talk to me and try to explain it to me. And the second story, on the 5th of November this year, I was organizing a full day of event about blockchain in the American University in Cairo, where we invited people like students, of course, from the AUC, as well as people from outside, in blockchain enthusiasts from the outside. And I met some students from Al-Azhar University. In Egypt, we have the government, and I cannot say government, it's called public education, and Al-Azhar education, we have two ways. And I met two girls from there, and they have, a college for girls, for females. And they asked me to come and do the same there. And when we had another meeting, a follow-up meeting with students from the other university, from the male and female, I asked them a question. Do you want, guys, see it's like a good engineering college? I asked them, do you want to have some in English session and they said, no, we want it in Arabic because most of our community or most of the students are not fluent in English. They want in Arabic. They prefer Arabic, and those people, you know, like they are leading the what's called Google Developer Students Club, and they are participating in different competitions worldwide. But the language still have a barrier for them, for the majority. I'm not talking about like different individuals. I'm talking about the majority itself. And also, when it's come to content, we have incomplete or misguided content. Kind of, you know, like when they started tries to explain what is blockchain, they give like incomplete definition, or just tie the blockchain with a cryptocurrency or with Hyperledger Fabric or with only Ethereum. You know, like they didn't give the reader or the learner a complete vision or the complete image. Again, the insufficient adoption is a challenge we have in the MENA region in general, and the lack of community support. Because when you start to develop or to do a project, you will face some challenges, and it's important, you know, like to have a community to ask, to encourage you to learn, to know what's going on, what's happening out there. Is there any acceleration program? Is there any hackathon like this? I want to know where I can know where there is no single place, you know, for that. I didn't hear about it. And the next challenge we have is a lack of access to Web3 resources and skill to implement. And this is a challenge, especially, you know, for those who start, who in the beginning, or they just started in this domain, they didn't know where to go. I heard this question a lot. I want to be in blockchain. Do I have to be a developer? I want to be a blockchain developer. Do I have to learn how to develop web applications? You know, all these kind of like misconceptions or you know, like questions. But because there is no enough resources, and they feel like disconnected or so. Also, that the last challenge we have is a need for network of Web3 professionals, candidates for high demand market corporations. And this is a challenge for the whole startups. We're looking for skilled candidates, and also, you know, like even for those who are looking for jobs, still like asking, is there blockchain companies in Egypt? Is there blockchain companies in Saudi Arabia? All these challenges because there is no community. You will feel like these challenges somehow are related to each other. I feel like it's a chicken and egg. Because of the weak adoption, we have you know, we don't have a bigger communities. Because of the language barrier, we have slow adoption. So kind of, you know, like it's connected, but I prefer to give you like overview about the challenges we have, and the feature or the characteristic of the Middle East community. And I think this is the end of my presentation. I don't want to talk a lot, but feel free if you want to reach out to know how we are trying to solve this problem through Arab Sim Blockchain and DAO, and the initiatives we are doing, the blockchain train, where we are going to the university in different countries, the Abjad DAO, where we are trying to work on the unified blockchain glossary, and of course the blockchain week, we are trying to increase the awareness of blockchain. Feel free to reach out by scanning this QR code. You will find so many links about all what we are doing. And also you can reach out to me, LinkedIn, Twitter, email. All my data is in this QR code. If there any question, I would love to answer.
Well, thank you for the presentation, Ms. Haraway. We do see hundreds of our international Web3 entrepreneurs, experts, and enthusiasts participate in the construction of Middle East Web3 ecosystem. So I noticed that you just bring a very interesting topic in your lecture. You mentioned that 50% of the people in MENA area from blockchain community are young people, right? And 48% of them are female. So if we do a simple math, it should be about like 26.4% of the community members are young female. So it's very interesting to see that. Do you think that percentage of young female in the blockchain community will keep its increments in a few years?
First of all, these numbers, just like general, it's not only in blockchain. So it's kind of, like the birth, because of the ratio between male and female, and because of the nature of this country, it's a young country. It's around 55% are under 30. It's kind of, like, yes. And the beautiful thing about it, like most of the young people use smartphones. They they are good when it's come to dealing with the technology. They have social media accounts. They are using it, but onboarding them to blockchain with the constraint illustrated now, it's kind of challenging, because blockchain is advanced and the current content we have is not, I can say it's not that good. Like even if I told, okay, it's blockchain, like we have multiple version of blockchain itself. What about the transaction? What about NFT? What about tokens? What about so many things? And also, like even when it's come, for example, for trading, for example, because we were for the rest, I think 4 weeks now, we were in workshops, translation workshops. Some terms is tied with a culture, a Western culture and slangs. So we are translating it and we are suffering because we want to understand what is the cultural background of this term. So for anyone coming, they are literally suffering.
Okay. Thank you for the answer. It's yeah, I mean, it's very interesting. So thank you again, and let's move to the next speaker. So the next speaker I would like to introduce is Yassin Ghazel, and he is the commercial director at Nifty Souk. So yeah, Yassin, you may start whenever you're ready.
Hi everyone. Thanks so much for the introduction and for the opportunity. My name is Yassin Ghazel. I am the commercial director at Nifty Souk. Souk means market in Arabic. So I'll just share my screen to show a little bit of introduction of myself, and then my colleague will join me in my colleague Sameh will join me in sharing his screen, so we can show more details about the topic that I will be covering today, which is something that Iman just highlighted, which is the challenges in the MENA region, or the Middle East, or the Arabic-speaking countries. So the Arabic language is one of the most important or the most challenging barriers. We will be highlighting this one because that's something that we at Nifty Souk tackled and solved creatively. Now I'll share my screen just to introduce myself better, and then Sameh, we can share yours, all right? So I don't have a presentation for that. It's just like my LinkedIn profile. So my name is Yassin Ghazel. I am currently working with Nifty Souk as a commercial director. I come from a Web3 and crypto technologies background as well. I co-founded a business called Feedback CX back in Jordan. I worked with Leo Burnett as a communication manager at some point. and the majority of my experience was mainly in the marketing. So I worked with Souq al-Mal, I worked with EF Education First, and I worked with NetBooster. And I graduated from a university called the University of Leeds in Leeds in the UK. That's pretty much about it. Now, I joined Nifty Souq recently, just 1 month ago. And the reason why I came to a conclusion that NFTs is where I want to be spending the next 2-3 years in as an industry is because I worked in the Web3 for 3 years before that. And I worked purely or mainly with crypto infrastructure technologies and dealing on daily basis with Forex brokers and seeing that this industry, which is the crypto in particular, is a speculative sector. I thought I need something that might be carrying more futuristic value with it. And I found that in NFTs. I'll explain more during the conversation. So Sameh, if you please, if you can share your screen to the dev Nifty Souq. Awesome. So the main topic that we would like to highlight today is the user experience and the user interface, and how important these two elements to increase the adaptability of getting into the Web3 industry. So we as creators and builders usually think about the next big thing to build. And some of us sometimes think about how to build the most beautiful code created ever. But some of us forget about the user who will be using this beautiful technology. And that's why you might see some challenges and problems when you visit Web3 applications and Web3 websites. Some of them focuses more on the Web3 natives, but they don't really look at the Web2 who are exploring now. Why you have to log in using your MetaMask? What is MetaMask in the first place? Why I need to have this hash key or the code next to my name instead of my name? I'm not used to it as a Web2 native. So at Nifty Souq, we try to tackle these issues, especially because we are focused on the Arabic-speaking countries. So we say that we are the MENA region NFT marketplace, but in essence, we are the Arabic-speaking countries NFT marketplace. That's why you see one of the top lines on our website is the language. So you see Arabic language, which is this one. So the moment you get inside our website, depends on your browser's language, you will get the language. So if it's Arabic, you will get the Arabic. If it's English, it goes to English. So to make it easier for all of us to understand, we will keep it as English for now. So mainly, first of all, I would like to highlight things that might be not in the perfect shape in our website in particular. So to shed the light on things that we need to improve as Nifty Souq, and we are aware of it, of course, and that's what will be reflected in our next website. First one is that this is the landing page. Landing page, usually the ones who come at the landing page at the first stage are artists. Artists come, and the first thing they see are two buttons, call to action, explore and register, all right? The way I would do it differently, I would directly get them into the explore page. Why? So they can see the variety of options and the variety of NFTs that our marketplace has. Now, whenever you land on an NFT marketplace and you see the art, you immediately see what's the value for you, what's in it for you as an artist, and even as a buyer. This is something that we are currently working on to change. So to make it easily navigated, easily seen for the potential buyer or the potential creator to see what's the whole thing about. So a little headline might be like, we are the largest NFT marketplace in the MENA region, but below that, immediately we see the artwork. So if we look at the name of on top of each artwork, another thing is that we see a duplicate names. So because the way that it was put, I mean, the order of what we see when it comes to the NFTs, it's a recency order. So whoever adds a new NFT will be put in the latest update of the website. But how we would make this in a better shape or a better display, we would have one artist, but below or next to each NFT or each artwork, we would have the other artwork. But we wouldn't place them all in the form of like this, for instance, because we wouldn't give a chance for other artists to show. Another thing is that if you go down, Sameh, what we see is we keep going down, we see more art, but then there is the load more. So when we click on the load more, we will have a lot of other arts. But to make it better for us as NFT marketplace to show that we have more art, the load more button preferably to be removed, and whenever we reach to that point, to be automatically loading. So these are the three main things that we would change in our new website, but wanted to highlight that because from a user experience, we think this would increase, if we change them, this would increase the likelihood for more adaptability and more easiness to use the platform itself. Okay. Now, fourth point we would be highlighting is that, Samih, if you go up to one of the artworks, like for instance, yeah. Okay, so first thing that we mentioned is that Arabic language is one of the most important elements for the Arabic-speaking countries. Another thing is that if you come as a Web2 native and you want to purchase an NFT, how would you do that? What we built at Nifty Souq is that once you click on register or login, you will have multi options. One option is the MetaMask or the Web3 login methods, which are using a digital wallet, and another method or another route, which is using the Web2 methods like Twitter, Google, Facebook, Apple, Discord, and majority of us have accounts on these. So a Web2 native would come and use this one without any issues to log in. So if we are now logged in and we are inside the platform, what we can do is, yeah. And it's good to point out that we are using Web3 auth in here. Maybe Samih later will highlight the importance of such tool. Now we are inside. Now we have an account that was created for us, and there is a non-custodial wallet created for us on our behalf without us needing to do anything. All we did is to click on the Gmail login, and then everything was automated created for us. Everything from an uncustodial wallet, or I mean self-custodial wallet for the user, and an account at Nifty Souq. Now, if we want to purchase this painting, we have two options. Okay, let's try another one, maybe. Now we will see the process of how to purchase an NFT at Nifty Souk. So if we click on buy now, we have two options. One option is using an external wallet that is already connected. Another option is to use a wallet that is already connected inside Nifty Souk. And the last option is to use a credit card. And using a credit card, just like how you would use it for Amazon or Noon or whatever e-commerce platform you are using. And giving these two or three options for the user to purchase an NFT increases the adaptability and increases the likelihood for them to be able to purchase an NFT. So these are ways to increase the adaptability for the buyer. Now, last thing I would like to highlight is how to create an NFT. The way we built our NFT marketplace is a way that makes it as smooth as possible and as easy as possible for the non-expert or the non-Web3 native to be able to create their NFTs or to purchase an NFT. When it comes to creating an NFT, it's a simple and straightforward steps that includes uploading an NFT file, choosing a name for the NFT, describing the NFT, what's in it for the user, what this NFT represents, and then choosing a category from a drop-down menu, which is, in our case, we have like a couple of categories. We have art, we have music, we have as well. Sameh, can you click on the category button, please? Okay. So music, photography, collectibles, and more categories can be added, of course. Then we choose the blockchain that we want to mint our NFTs on. So currently, as Nifty Souk, we have connected to 3 blockchains, and we are adding more. Now we are connected to the main ones: Polygon, Ethereum, and BNB on Boba, our partners, and we are connecting to another 2 in a couple of weeks. Now, after choosing what blockchain, we select the wallet that we want to receive fund from or to use to pay for the minting fees, if we decide to go with minting. And then we choose the royalties. So whenever a secondary market has a transaction for our NFTs that we create, there will be a 5% royalty for us or 6% royalty for us. It depends on us how much we would make it. It's up to 10% in our platform. We have the option to add partners to share with us the revenue. For example, we are 2 creators for 1 NFT. We would add, we would add our partner to share revenue with us. We would give them 50% or 30%, depends on their participation. And we also share with them a percentage of the royalty. So for example, if our royalty is 6%, we give them 50%. So we take 30%, they take 3%, we take 3%. And then if we go down, it depends on the editions. So if it's the first number of edition, if it's the number of NFTs that we want to sell from this NFT. So for example, the NFT that we just uploaded is 1 NFT. It would be 1 NFT, but we can increase that to up to as many as we want. Whenever it's more than 1, it's automatically placed on the ERC 1155. After we choose the number of editions, we decide whether to get it as a fixed price or on auction. And then we choose Yeah, and we decide on the price, of course. We choose the collection. By the way, when we choose the price of the NFT that we are willing to sell, that we are going to sell. And then we choose the collection. If we already have a collection to place this NFT inside it, we choose it. If we don't, then we have the option to create a collection. As you can see, it's an easy way to create an NFT. It's straightforward. There is no educational element needed. Everything is straightforward. Whenever there is an educational element needed, there is this question mark. People can read about it. So lazy minting, for example, I personally did not know about that before. Then I came to Nifty Souq. I saw lazy minting. I read this box. Boom, I understand everything about lazy minting. It's a straightforward process. Now, in our website, we can choose if we want it to be lazy minted or to be on-chain or to be minted. Lazy minting means that it wouldn't be using any transaction on the blockchain itself. It would be off-chain, meaning that it will stay on our website. When the buyer comes, they will pay for it to be minted. So they will pay for the gas fees. Now, that's it. We created the NFT and then we click on create NFT, and within seconds it's created. Yeah. So now we have a minted NFT that is called Test, and it's for 0.1 Matic, which is around less than $1. Yeah, that's all about it for me. If you have any questions, please let me know. In the next part, Sameh, my colleague, will be covering few technical details that we created in our NFT marketplace to make it easier for the users. But in all cases, what I wanted to highlight is increasing the seamlessness and the easiness of using the platform for the natives, for the Web3 natives, and for the Web2 natives, increases the likelihood for the adaptability and increases the chances that the marketplace or the Web3 application is going to be used by many users, not only the Web3 ones.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Gazelle. We have a question from an UI developer. So for the early stage or startup developers, so what software and tutorials would you recommend them to try about their UI study?
Of course. So maybe Sameh, you have things to add when it comes to the tools that can be used for the UI.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for having me. My name is Sameh Sadaqa. I'm the head of blockchain development in Nifty Souq. Yeah, regarding the question, there are many tutorials on the internet to put you on the right way to start developing like Dapps, especially in Web3.js or Ethers.js libraries. This is how you learn how to integrate the smart contract with the platform in the front end side, and do all type of integration between the smart contract and the UI.
But the way we did it as Nifty Souq, because we've been there since 1.5 years, test and trial, and we've experienced with the users. So our users brought us a lot of traffic and shared with us a lot of feedback on how we would make it easier for them. And us speaking with artists in particular, knowing that they know about what NFTs are, for example, but they don't know about digital wallets, how to create a digital wallet. We were like, okay, if you will be adding your NFT collections on our platform, how we would make it easier for you to do so. They said, if there is a way where we don't necessarily have to create a digital wallet, then to come and add it on your website, then it would be an easier process. So why don't you make it on Gmail? Then we started looking for tools. So for us, it was in-person and primary market research to understand what our customers need. That's how we advanced and changed our UI. But tools for UI analysis are literally everywhere. I myself don't know tools names, but I've seen many before. I might forget now, but I think there are many tools for that. And it depends on the industry and the product that you are building. Some of them, you can't go for a generic purpose tool that gives you generic solutions and generic amendments for whatever you currently have. In some cases, like in our case, we needed to speak with our audience. We needed to spend time with them and to understand what they are all about. So in some cases, we can do heat maps and use heat maps applications where we see where they click and when they bounce back and they leave the website, where they get stuck. We saw all of that in our case, but the best, or 80% of our research or our solutions and our learnings and the results that we came up with were from a primary research or from the customers themselves.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for coming, and I'm glad to having you.
Okay.
Thank you.
You are welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yeah. So lastly, I will spend another 5 minutes to give you some instructions on your project submission. I'll show on screen, I think. Yeah, there are basically some rules and expectations for your project submission. So for this competition, firstly, this is globally, so which means that whether or not you're in the meta area, you are welcome to submit your project. And of course, we accept basically every topic related to blockchain, Web3, Metaverse, GameFi, DeFi, NFT, and etc. The second thing is about our total prize bounty is the total prize bounty is 18,000 USDC. So as you see here, we have 5,000 for golden, we have 3,000 for silver, and we have 1,000 for bronze. So about the Star Award is something comprehensive, and it is created to recognize and promote the outstanding project for its conceptual creativity, design capability, and for example, application endowments, community value, and other aspects of comprehensive performance. So the Star Awards are 2,000 for 2. And all the qualified submissions will get a certificate. Next is our judging criteria. So yes, we will judge your project through these 5 components. The first is the completeness, which means that does the project is able to run and show several complete cases to cover typical objectives. For technical challenge, it means that does the project encounter some technical difficulties and achieve elegant and efficient solutions through the technical process. For commercial values, it means that does the project shows in-depth thinking about application scenarios and business models supported by your data and research. For innovation and creativity, it's about does the project solves a large-scale practical problem from a new perspective. And the last one is the user experience. So it means that does the users can intuitively and quickly understood the operation of your project and the internal logic. And this is the submission requirements for all the projects. We need a short description of your project and your team members. Like for team members, you could just write down their roles in the teams, and the description for the project, maybe 50 or 100 words will be great. And also a 5-minute video demo presentation for the project. We also need a link of your open source code. Well, if you have concerns, half open is acceptable. Also, the contract address for your deploy demo. So there are also some important times I want to mention you. The first is if you want to participate in the competition, you may start your registration today. So we'll post it later on in the Telegram group. And also the deadline for submission is the December 15th. And the demo day and awards announcements will be on the December 18th. Okay. Okay, here I guess is the end of today's session. And we'll set reminders and put all these stuffs in the Telegram group, so make sure you don't miss it. And if you still have questions, please feel free to ask in the Telegram group. Again, thank you guys and everyone today. The speakers and lectures are really amazing. And we'll see you on the demo day. And you guys have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.